Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode we're going to be talking about some courier drama that's been going on in my local area. So to begin with, I'm just going to give a little rundown on the couriers I use, when I started using them and for what reason I started using them, because it's all going to make sense in the story. So for a little bit of context, I moved into this office block in 2023. Before that, I had previously used Royal Mail when I first started reselling in full-time in 2019, and then I swiftly moved house in 2020, which made it easier for me to utilize Every, because I had an Every drop-off shop just up the road, and I continued using Every all the way until 2023 when we landed in this office block here. We were in a different office over there, but yes, Yodel was who we changed over to, because there is a nicely placed Yodel inside the mall, or inside the shopping centre. People get annoyed when I say the mall, but that is what the shopping centre is called here. So there is a Yodel in there, and they've always been pretty good. Now, originally they would take larger parcels up to 120 centimetres, but that changed maybe a year and a half ago. They updated their contract or something, and they made sure that they changed it to 60 centimetres, which was a problem for me. Had to, obviously, all my vacuum cleaners went bigger than 60 centimeters, so I had to find a second courier for those. But other than that, they were very good. All of my parcels would get delivered. I would never have anything like late deliveries or lost parcels, or sometimes there would be an item maybe got damaged in the post, but it was always swiftly sorted out. Not too much of an issue. So for about 2.5 years, or about 2 years, no problems whatsoever with Yodel. And about 3, maybe 4 months ago, I noticed a little bit of a shift in the quality of the service from the Yodel that we were using. Now, this was nothing to do with the people that worked there, or the location, or anything to do with the shopping centre or anything like that. It all stemmed to the driver. The driver had been swapped out. The original driver was great. He was on time every single day. He would pick up all of the parcels, which is a key point in today's little drama story. And everything was great. They then changed to a second driver who would complain about the large parcels, which then made them change their contract with Yodel, or whoever they had the contract with, and they swapped it down to 60 centimeters, which was frustrating, but we dealt with that. And then the third and current, I say current, I'll get to that, driver came in about 3 months ago, and straight away I noticed a few problems, and so did the drop-off location as well, but I will explain that in just a minute. So basically, I started noticing that messages were coming through from my customers saying there seems to be a problem with my delivery on this item, can you check this for me? And at first I didn't think anything of it, and I went in and checked the tracking details, but what would come up on the messages was a little message in red, by the way, on the tracking, and it would say that the courier could not pick up your parcel because the packaging was insufficient. You needed to repack the item and then rebook a delivery. So basically they were saying, we've voided your tracking, you need to pick it up, repack it, and then get a new label, basically, is what I got from that message. Now, the first few times this happened, I didn't do anything because my parcels are fine. You know, this must just be an error from the driver. He's made a mistake, he'll come back and he'll pick them up in a day or two and take them, and everything will be okay. And that, to be fair, did happen. A day or two later, the parcel was then taken. It was scanned in a day after that in the main depot down the road, and then it was delivered. Yeah, it was a day late, or a day later than the tracking originally said, but it wasn't too much of an issue. Then there was about a 2-week period, 1 week where I was actually away on holiday, and a week before that where everything seemed to go back to normal. I later found out that another driver had come in and covered him because he was on holiday, so that is why everything went back to normal. However, when he got back, it started to happen again, and it was way more frequent. So any parcels that were over about the size of a shoebox would start getting scanned in under this same thing, which was packaging insufficient, can't take the parcel, whatever the wording was, needs to be repackaged and asked for a redelivery. And the problem was, I wasn't getting notified of this, only the customers were. So when this was scanned in, it would send a notification obviously through to eBay that there was an issue, and then they would forward that message on to the customer. Now, 9 times out of 10, customers would panic about this. They would either try and cancel the order because obviously they think I'm not any good at packaging a parcel, which is fair enough. You would worry if you got that message from eBay and then read what the issue was. Or they would just message me and let me know there seems to be a problem, can I look into it? And I would then have to explain to them that this is the driver, he's scanning stuff in wrong, it should be picked up in a day or two, and then it will be on its way, which did happen for a while. That was the case. He started coming back and he would then take the parcels, and everything seemed to be working, even though that main issue was still there. Now, the problem was, some people would get that email from eBay, they would either ignore it and not see it or whatever, and it would go on until it was too late. I didn't know that their parcel had that issue, and then they would message me once it was already late, and then I would investigate, and then they would open a case, which I then had 3 days to either get them their parcel or I had to refund them. So this started to become a major issue with me using that courier, because anything that was over the size of a shoebox, he was delaying picking up by using this scan. Now, I did actually complain to the drop-off location. I'm very friendly with the people there that scan the parcels in, and also the manager that runs that little area, and she also runs the mall. She did some investigating into it, and they had actually reported that driver as well, because what he was doing was other parcels that he did not want to put into his bag and take with him, he was scanning them in and then hiding them round the corner. So the drop-off cupboard where the parcels were put was kind of like an L shape, and in the back of the corner there was lots of pipes, and there was, I believe there was some sort of heating system back there, so it was kind of unused. It wasn't like usable space for parcels, but it was in the same cupboard. They started finding parcels and packages hidden in there that he was deciding that he didn't want to take. He didn't want to get in trouble for not taking them, so he was scanning them in and then hiding them round the corner, which is exactly what he was doing with my larger parcels. However, he had worked out the system, and the system was obviously, he checks in the morning for his job, he gets given his route, and he's told how many parcels should be there for him to scan, and obviously he's meant to take all of them. And if for whatever reason his van is full, there is an option on there for him to say, my van is full, I can pick it up the next day or whatever, which is what the old drivers would do. If their van was full, they would scan some stuff in as can't pick it up, the van is full, or whatever the message would come up. But he obviously worked out that if he scanned it in as there was a problem with the packaging, it would then not be his problem. It would be the person who dropped it off's problem, which is me, obviously. So it put the whole thing about him not picking up was then my fault. It has nothing to do with him. He went to do his job, he couldn't pick it up. Obviously, someone packs a vacuum cleaner in a plastic bag, that's an issue, right? That's what that scan option is there for, but that is not what he was using it for. He was using it as like a delay tactic to pick stuff up. So let me just explain quickly why he would be doing this, and a little bit about the drop-off location, because it will... Oh, and we nearly had a crash outside. I don't know if you can hear that beeping. There's a roundabout right there. So the drop-off centre for my Yodel is in the middle of the shopping centre, so the driver can only park outside, and then he has to walk in, and he brings a trolley and like big Amazon bags, and he fills up. So the other drivers would do 2 trips if there was enough parcels. This guy does not want to do 2 trips, so he fills up his bags with all the little parcels. Maybe he'll put a few of my bigger ones in there if necessary, and then he won't want to come back. He's done. He's had enough. He's going to go to his next one. So he started scanning them all in under a method that would allow him to delay picking those up. Now, the problem was the cupboard, for a start, and I've explained this in a video before, wasn't very big. So if he left my parcels at the back because he decided he didn't want to take them, other people and myself would come the next day with more parcels, which would get put in front of those parcels. There was no rotation system, so he would go in and take the ones that were older. He would just start taking from the front, and it became a problem where there was stuff, my parcels, other people's parcels, that were way at the back, and they'd been there for a week, 2 weeks. Now, this all bubbled up to a point where I had to go to the manager and say, look, I can't use your drop-off location anymore, unfortunately, because this is too much. I'm losing too much money. I'm getting too many cases. I'm getting too many angry customers. I'm having to refund stuff that is lost. And then Yodel is not wanting to pay out because, as far as they're concerned, they cancelled the tracking when he scanned it in, or whatever the reason may be. So yeah, he started taking parcels without scanning them in for whatever reason, and then they would get lost in the system somewhere. I still have 3 parcels, I believe, floating around in the system from 2 weeks ago. They've all been refunded. None of them have been delivered. Yodel doesn't seem to know where they are. They're not at the drop-off location. They're just lost. Whether the driver stole them, I don't know. I'm not going to accuse anyone of stealing because I don't know. But they've gone somewhere and they've got lost because of this situation. Because as far as the main Yodel system knows, they've not been scanned in. They were never scanned into a van. They were just taken and put somewhere, which is annoying. So yeah, I had to move to using Royal Mail because there's no Every in town currently, which will be changing soon because the new Royal Mail down the road is going to be getting Every shortly. So that is kind of a lifesaver. So reporting the driver was a pain. The first time I reported him, I did it on online chat, and I spoke to someone on there. I gave them about 10 reference numbers to parcels which had the scan in notification, and I said there's plenty more. I could give you 30 right now, and they said no, this is enough. We're going to investigate with the local drop off where you drop them off and the main depot, which is like 5-10 miles down the road or whatever, and see if they're having any problems with this driver anywhere else. And I said cool, and they said you'll get an email within 24 hours. If that does not happen, then please message us back or phone us back, and we'll sort this out for you. So I thought, great, everything's going to get sorted out, not a problem. They're going to find my parcels, they're going to retrain the driver, or at this point I was still thinking he was undertrained or something like that. But of course this is Yodel, and I would say this is probably every courier as well. They never messaged me back. So a few days went on and still no email, still no phone call or anything. So I decided this time I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna get through on the phone. So I did that, and I spent about 45 minutes on the phone with someone from Yodel, and again I gave them tracking numbers for about 6. I had to give them letter by letter over the phone, so it was a little bit more time consuming than just copy and pasting into the chat. So we only did about 5 or 6, and each one of those was an individual investigation that they were doing into that parcel and the driver. She said the same thing to me. She said these will all get individually investigated with the team at Yodel drop off and also at the depot, and you will be hearing back from us within 24 to 48 hours. And if you don't, then call back. Well, to cut a long story short, I did not hear back again, which is frustrating and annoying. So I just thought the case had gone cold. I sorted out all of my cases with refunds, and 2 of them eventually did get delivered, which was great. So I knew that they were getting found in the system eventually. So the other ones at the time I wasn't too worried about, but I have actually ended up having to refund some of them because they never showed up, which is annoying. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not getting any of my compensation, from Yodel for those lost items, even though I paid money to insure those parcels on top of the parcel postage amount. So yeah, I've probably lost about £300, maybe £400 in this whole situation. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep using Royal Mail for the time being, and every now and again when I walk through the centre I will double check and see maybe the driver has been retrained or maybe a new driver has turned up. So yesterday I was walking back to the office after having lunch, and the manager was actually outside. So I went up to her and I spoke to her about the situation, and I said, oh, has anything happened? Any changes? You know the situation. Have they done anything with this driver? And she informed me that the driver is gone. Yep. They swapped out the driver. She doesn't know whether he's moved somewhere else or whether he's been fired, but that driver is gone. They got a new driver, and apparently the new driver is fantastic. He is doing multiple trips. He's picking everything up. He's scanning everything in properly, and there's no parcels that are being hidden behind cabinets or around walls or anything like that. So I'm going to take that as they did their investigation. They correlated information that the Yodel drop-off had given Yodel about him hiding parcels and doing other sorts of stuff, and they obviously spoke to the main depot as well. Maybe they were having problems with this driver as well, and they put all the information together, and as far as I'm aware, this guy no longer works there. Maybe they moved him to a different location, but I would say if they've taken him off this route, he's fired. He's gone. You know, as far as I'm aware, he's gone, and there's a new guy there. So that is the story. It is a nightmare. I lost £300, maybe £400. I've not totaled it up yet in this whole situation. Lots of my parcels went missing. I lost a Miele, I lost a G-Tech Hoover, I lost 2 TVs. What else did I lose? I lost a circulation booster, a scooter, a little micro scooter went missing, which wasn't even a large parcel, but that went as well. And yes, I've not received any compensation for this even after putting in those claims. So yeah, maybe some of them will be accepted and I'll get a little bit of my money back, but it is what it is. Am I going to be going back to Yodel? Not yet. I'm going to hold off. Everything seems to be going okay at the moment with Royal Mail, and fingers crossed they're going to get Every sorted out, which means that I can start sending with Every again, because Every obviously do up to 120, so that means all of my parcels can go with Every rather than 90% with Yodel and 10% with someone that can take larger parcels. So yes, that was the courier drama. It's been annoying, it's been frustrating, but it seems to have been resolved with the guy potentially being terminated from his job, because at the end of the day he was doing things that he should not have been doing, and he no longer does the drop-offs at that location, or the pickups I should say, at that location. So whether that was because of me reporting or whether that was because the Yodel place did report him as well, I do not know, but yes. So there we go. I mentioned the courier drama in my last office video. Hopefully you guys have seen that. And I said I would either put it in that video or another one. I decided to separate it because it is about a 20-minute story, as you can see from this video. But yeah, there we go. So that was my stressful last couple of weeks dealing with that. But like I said, everything is going very well with Royal Mail right now. They are actually very good from this location. I had problems when I used a different Royal Mail before. But yeah, everything seems to be going great. So I'm happy with that. Anyway, let's get you down from here. That is the end of that story. So that is a conclusion to an issue that I've been dealing with. So yeah, it is very warm out there today. It's about 25 plus degrees, I believe. It's very nice. It's just gone 11 on Friday, and I've got some parcels to do, so I'm going to leave this video here. So yeah, fingers crossed we've got everything sorted now, and eventually I either go back to Yodel or they will get Every at the Royal Mail drop-off, which is great. So thank you again for watching, listening to my story. Hopefully I got the idea of everything over in this little rant. I'll call it a rant. I'm not the greatest at storytelling, so hopefully I didn't miss any key details of the story out, but I think I did a good job explaining the whole situation and what has been going on. So yeah, if you want to buy something from my store to help me make up for the £400, please do. The link to my store is down below. I'm just kidding, you don't have to do that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys very shortly with some new videos. Take care, bye bye.